Hey, you there. Thank you for watching, and welcome to Forge Lines Forever. Today I have a 3v3 ladder match here on the most amazing Roxas map generator. So let's go ahead and introduce our teams and our players. Starting off with Team 1 in the northwest, ending with Team 2 in the southeast. Starting off with Team 1's regular sub player, and then going clockwise, we have in Stitch Blue, Team 1's Makula. He is a Cybern for this match as a 1400 even. To his southeast, we have as the highest rated player on Team 1, it is Chicken. He is a Cybern as well in Amethyst Purple as a 1788 rated. And last but not least for Team 1, as the only UEF here on Team 1 and in the game, it is the Royal Blue player of RNA. He is a 1718 rated. So for Team 1 side of the map, 2 Cyberns, 1 UEF, no Aeon, no Seraphim for Team 1. Starting off with Team 2's regardless sub player, knowing clockwise as well. We have in Ruby Red, Team 2's Freshie. He is a Cybern. He is at 1467 rated. To his west and Chevy Crimson is the Cybern player of Gib. He is a 1583 rated. And last but not least, for Team 2 or Red Team, we have an Orange Color Orange Excited with 2 X's. He is an 1835 rated player, the highest rated player on Team 2 or Team Red and in the game overall, and he is a Cybern as well. So for Team 2 side of the map, it is a strictly Cybern affair. No UEF, no Aeon, no Seraphim for Team 2, which means for the entirety of this game, there are no Aeon players and no Seraphim players. Apologies to those loyal to the princess, and apologies to those who love to arrive late and make grand entrances at the same time. And for these 6 players on the map, particularly how much reclaim they have to scoop up, currently sitting at 6,000 mass, which isn't a terrible amount. It's about 1,000 mass per player. Most of it is dotted on the mainland, but to be fair, what the map does like in reclaim, it makes up for it in mexes. And a lot of them are just shotgunned everywhere on the main island segment land mass thingamajig. There is a couple of Trimex positions on the beach to grab. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 of them right here. One of them kind of in the middle of this little environment here. There is another couple of Trimex positions in the northeast. Most likely we'll just go to one team being that close and that isolated from the main landmass. And I will make a point, there are only 6 players and there are 5 Cybern, which means this UEF player of RNA is like, I'm going to be different. I'm going to be a UEF, not a Cybern. That's perfectly fine, but it would have been interesting to see a full Cybern affair. I haven't seen a game, I don't think ever, that's been strictly the same faction for every single person. I think this is the closest percentage wise in terms of, you know, how many players are in the game and how many players are the same faction. Very, very rare. And when I did look at the replay, they were all picked, so they weren't, you know, they weren't random, because you get told that on the replay side of things. At least a little info about who won and whatnot, which I don't pay attention to because I like to go into replays blind. Anyway, let's go see what's going on. Transport inbound here from Team 1's Makula going after, looks like this upper ridge position. I don't see a whole lot of stuff on board because this is a Team 1 transport. Looks like it's only engineers. Probably going for Team 1 PD to deny the main base for Gib. That's not a great day. And we do see Gib thought of the exact same idea. Team 1 PD has been built, but all of the engineers are able to reclaim all the other engineers. This one isn't targeting that engineer. Oh, not great. Oh, it does grab it. T1 PD is online. It will deny a couple of mexes here for Gib. Nothing super critical. Those are his main mexes, of course. There are some now Team 1 artillery units, some Medusa. So unfortunately that PD will not survive much longer. But I did like the attempt from RNA. The transport's also nearby. And I do find it funny that Gib had literally the exact same idea, just did it a couple of seconds sooner. And Team 1's just beat him out, so he transported those units down there and called it a day. Looks like there will be a little bit of Navy going down here between Team 1 and Team 2. Mainly, it'll be probably down here. Couple of T1AA and torpedo launchers in the water here. Looks like trying to deny early Team 1 naval facilities, which will give RNA some time to build his own. We do see that no com-on-com action has occurred as of yet. Again, a map like this with this amount of players isn't going to be a lot of com-on-com action. We do see possible engagements here between RNA and Gib in the middle. RNA will have a slight advantage, having 2,000 additional base hit points on board. And we'll see if Gib and RNA do just kind of stick it out. But of course, if one player is killed off in the vicinity of another one below 2,500 hit points, it'll be a death for them anyway. So even if it was just a trade, it's a blow for blow essentially between these two players, they will both die. I do find it interesting that RNA is just going to reclaim and just deny all these mixes for Gib, which is fine. You know, he's taking minimal damage, nothing too critical. He does drop into the yellow, but I don't think he'll be super staying there for too long, especially with some Mantis nearby. Unfortunately for him, those groups of Mantis will force him into the water. Again, he did get a couple of mexes reclaimed, which is, again, some mass in his coffers. And those mexes will be rebuilt as we speak. It looks like he tried to go for this little spot of water, but I feel like that's a little bit too vulnerable. You can easily just surround that and have some torp bombers waiting to engage anyways. I mean, this position, he can at least get back to his side of the map. Nothing too worrisome there. In the middle, we do see Chicken just standing stalwart, not really moving, has a little T1 position nearby, getting some more facilities for more engineers and other reinforcements. There is some units stacking here just to, of course, deter any sort of incoming threat from Team 1. We do see he is focusing on this northeastern corner, though, has grabbed everything, and is now producing naval facilities to lock it down. Freshie is inbound. He is a Cybran. He could go for torpedo. It is kind of early to do that, and he's all the way in this corner of the map. It's a little bit risky to do that, at least sit in the water long term, so maybe he'll just reclaim and call it a day. There are some T1 torp launchers nearby. There's actually a decent amount of them, and he will drop into the yellow and fall back. There are some T1 PD on the shoreline as well, so there really wasn't a way for him to engage. Chicken's kind of happy about that, I guess. Maybe he's commenting about something else, who knows. T1 naval facilities built on the southern edge of the map here. Chicken says dead for Freshie, and Freshie actually will die from those torpedo launchers. Wow, look at that. I was surprised he didn't get out of there in time. I felt like he had enough time to do that, but it looks like those torpedo launchers just had enough range. Oh yeah, look at that, just barely, and then the torpedoes were fired, and they followed him, and they killed him off. So the first casualty of the game, really early, especially in a ladder match like this. Team 2 loses a player. Freshie gains control of everything that... Excited gains everything control that Freshie had, which of course will jumpstart his eco, but now they're down a player, and that's another encouragement to go from more of an annihilation game to an assassination game, which, you know, if you kill off all the other players, you win the game that way. That is one way to do it. Is it the most efficient? Maybe. Depends on how long it takes you to get those kills, but just also depends on what your opponent is doing. So it's just kind of obviously a rock, paper, scissors kind of thing. T1 naval facilities online. Do we see early T2? No. Oh, no, yes, T2 is coming online here for RNA. He's not going for land. He's kind of in this weird, kind of, not limbo position, but because of the narrow neck of land in the middle of the map, especially UEF forces don't really have that many hover units. They have the Riptide, and they have Perseus, which don't hover, but they can go through water. That's really about it. They're not Aeon or Seraphim when they have a lot of hover tech units. So going through water isn't really that beneficial. Same thing for the Cybran side of things. They have the Wagner and the Brick, so essentially the same thing. So there's really not a lot of hover units available to either team. So land and sea are definitely going to be the most... Well, land is going to be kind of a mixed bag of we're going to sit in the middle, kind of hang out kind of thing. And Navy might play a bigger role than I initially thought of when I made sure that this game ran properly and whatnot. And air, of course, is always a big deal because it doesn't matter what the environment is below the air forces, they can still fly over it. So that's never going to change. Freshie saying bomb their power. And that is a good way to take out mass income as well. If you take out energy income, they don't have as much power to run the mexes, which means they can't produce as much mass, which means they're just not getting as much mass, which is one way to cripple somebody's economy, is just knock out power, which is, again, difficult to do, especially when you have 3 players at positive power. But if you knock a lot of power out, there's nothing that one player can do. It's just going to drop, and just crash. T2 torp bombers online. Don't know what they're going for as of yet. Those nice little Cormorant class torpedo boats. There's nothing down here, so they might be gearing up for the T2 naval headquarters over here, but they may be just waiting for a calm to dip itself into the water. We do see that Chicken has done that. And chicken, of course, just for some reason will not play as a Seraphim to produce chicken. So I can say chicken is producing chickens, just like biology intended. He's not doing that. I don't think I've casted a game in a long time with him as being as a Seraphim, which is fine. You know, he has his favorites, and like I have my own favorites. But just once, I just gotta find a game where he plays as a Seraphim, so I can just say chickens produce chickens, just because it's just a funny thing to say. Anyway, T3 Strat Bomber over the top for Excited. With that dual eco, it definitely would make sense for him to go early Bomber. Trying to take out the power and the comm. It looks like T3 Pigeons are online. Looks like the Bomber was immediately destroyed. I don't even see where it went. Let's get the oh yeah, it's all the way up here. Do not turn caps lock on. I did not mean to do that, game. Or keyboard. T2 Torp Bombers aren't going to do anything over land, so I don't really know why they're over there. There's another Strat Bomber in the mix, though, going after T2 Power. It doesn't grab the other one, though. It does grab the one on the north side of that air facility. Another bomber is going to be inbound, and it will get denied by all of the Myrmidons that were built very quickly here. And that Pigeon will be perfectly fine. And Makula's power grid will not have any sort of issues going forward, at least for now. So it was a nice attempt, but was not successful, unfortunately, for Excited. In the east, one of the cruisers is dealt with, but they are being replaced as we speak. Looks like a Salem is going to be on the line here soon, which, of course, means that they can get into the land and kind of annoy Team 2 with the bombardment that they can do with walking on land. The only naval unit in the game that can do that. Very, very unique in that way with the Cybran forces. Again, the only downside is they're very slow, and slow means they can't dodge very well, and bombs kind of impact targets very effectively against them because they can't really move. It's like a structure, but with very, very, very slow legs. I think the Salem maybe walks as fast as the Scathis does. Maybe it actually walks a little bit slower than that. I'm just thinking about how fast the Scathis moves, and the Scathis do move decently quick in terms of being a unit that size moving. Of course, it's a T4 experimental artillery unit, so, you know, it's going to have some discrepancies or some downsides to it. We do see the cruisers online here for the UEF player of RNA. Getting those governors with those missiles on board. Very, very annoying. Oh no, a transport going to get taken out by missiles and doesn't get moved in time. It's unfortunate. Nothing too crazy, though. He'll be able to get the reclaim for that very easily. In the middle, there is an attempt to pierce through. Of course, some Wagners getting underneath the surface of the water, so those PD aren't able to target them. But they are getting denied by a couple of tickle cannons. Kind of like those turtles that try to make it to water, and not all of them make it to the sea kind of thing. I don't know if they're on a collision course with the comm of Chicken, but they are going northwest. Looks like they're going after all of the mexes up here to that section of the map. Definitely not as defended. There are a lot of some hunter spam up here just to deal with any sort of incoming early units, but I don't think they'll get that much mileage against all of these Wagners. We do see that Team 1 is aware of them there, so it's not like they're going to be completely caught with the pants down, but it's just one of those scenarios where I don't think it'll get that much mileage. Land forces are inbound. There are engineers scooping up reclaim. Looks like they'll probably establish a facility, most likely over here. Gonna get adjacency bonuses with all of those mexes. Mass incomes. Team 2 550 versus Team 1's 380, and that number might actually start falling. The Salems have actually decided to go onto the land and intercept the Wagners. Unfortunately, again, there's the whole speed thing. These units moving faster than these units, which means they will fall out of range very quickly. And there, of course, are some hunters, but they are very, very weak labs. They don't do a lot of damage. Team 1 mech is being ripped apart very easily here. Looks like that one will get taken out, and it just takes a couple of shots from these Wagners to deal with them. T1 bombers overhead will slowly eat away at the remaining hit points. T2 gunship as well. The Wagners aren't super strong, but again, they make up for it with their versatility. Just like the Riptides, the same thing, except they go underneath the water instead of hovering over the water. So, just a different method to the madness. And there are a couple of mexes taken offline. Nothing super critical. We do see Team 1 has fallen to about 380, but that could be a power issue. No, and no. So that is actually the true income for Team 1. We do see a large group of T2 forces stacking up here for RNA. Not as many here for Team 2, but it's just, I get the feeling that it's kind of one of those, if they attack, being Team 2 attacks Team 1 will get the benefit, and vice versa for Team 1 versus Team 2. It's essentially whoever engages first is the one that will lose, so they're just going to hang back and relax. Maybe we'll see T3 here shortly. Those Neptunes for the UEF faction are brutal against Team 1 T2 forces, and some T3s in fact. So that could be the tide that turns the naval war in the southwestern corner of the map. We'll just have to see how the game progresses though. And of course, a decent amount of Salem's in this mix though, so Team 2's Gib is producing them quite quickly. He does have a T2 air facility. Love to see that. He's producing torp bombers specifically, of course, because he's in essentially the not pseudo naval slot, but essentially a naval slot. We can deal with the cruisers. We do see, of course, unfortunately for Team 2's eastern side for Excited, he kind of has a naval problem of his own, but it's kind of migrated onto land, literally migrated onto land. And those Salem's, of course, they're like Fat Boys, but not as powerful. They don't have a personal shield. They can't be used on the Navy and land side of things, and they don't pump out as many shots per unit. We are seeing some Wagners moving in to intercept and some Rhinos as well, so those will be able to deter a decent amount of those Wagners, but there are a lot of them. And of course the main targets, that artillery piece from the Gunther just nails that one Salem. And as I always say, do not land your air forces in front of land units, because, yeah, like that. Again, they are interceptors, not ASFs. That isn't a huge threat, but still, it is something to be concerned about. All of those Salem's, at least this group, has been dealt with. Land forces tried to be spammed up here by Team 1's chicken, and that Salem was going to be like, yeah, I have my land legs. I don't want them anymore. Can you just take them, and I can go back into the water and say that nothing happened. We can just ignore this. And that Salem is going to be hurting. It does take a second to retract those legs. And what's kind of weird is that they kind of retract and then retract and then retract and then retract. It's just having a hard time. There is a cruiser that can fire on land units and other naval units and air units, so all the units it can target, just like the T1, T2, T3 AA mobile units of the Cybran faction. They can target essentially anything, except when it's not air units, their accuracy is not great. It is not a good thing. T2 units just being spammed up. No Barracudas yet here from Team 2's Chevy Crimson player of Gib. Would have loved to see those. Actually would be a very, very good unit to deal with. But there are a lot of bombers nearby, and of course T2 still the main stage unit here for Team 1 and Team 2. No one's gone to T3 as of yet. T3 definitely would not be as important up here as it would be down here in terms of Navy. I just don't see the need to go for that up here. I mean, it's an isolated position. Once T3 is built up here, they're kind of stuck up here. Yeah, they can secure the middle, but no one's going down the middle anyways, so it's not really that much of a concern. So I just don't think it'd be worth the mass cost in terms of upgrading to that. But it would be nice to have if he was a UEF, if he was a Seraphim, if he was an Aeon. The missiles specifically are the things that I'm talking about, of course. Now we have Excited producing 700 mass. He is just ecoing hard this game. He is outproducing the entirety of Team 1 by actually a decent margin just by himself. 70, 60 mass per second. And then his teammate of Gib is, of course, extending that lead even further. So this could go down to a Team 2 builds a game ender, an artillery piece, a nuke, a big ticket item, and Team 1 just has to deal with it and react to it. T3 Navy has been started here by Team 1. He is going to go for either the Summit or the Neptune. Those are the only two units I would think he would go for at this point. Especially with the mainly T2 Team 1 force, the Neptune would be a lot better. Unless he transitions into Galaxies, then Summits would be a little bit more important. But we do see some incoming forces here from Chicken over here to the west. And Team 2 is really suffering on the lower section of the map. It's a little bit harder to tell, but you can see there's not that many avenues to get to the lower section of the map for land units besides, of course, using transports. And Team 2 is losing a lot of this lower territory. They've been having to, deal with the northern side, the middle side, the western side. Just, again, And that's all being driven by chicken. You're just poking over here, poking over here, poking over here, really just sucking up the APM from, specifically, that's the word I was trying to say, excited. But Gabe, of course, having to come over here with a couple of gunships just to deal with the bricks. The bricks are going to be dealt with quite easily, though. But again, that's more mexes offline. That's less mass for him. The lead is slowly starting to capitulate here for Team 2. Team 1 is catching up. We do see it's just so many units over here for Team 1's RNA. And I don't think this amount of units is going to be enough. And even if they try to just rush straight forward for that T3 naval headquarters, I don't think they'll get as much mileage out of them, especially with the Storks coming in, these nice little port bombers. Targeting, looks like the cruisers. That'd be definitely the best target. Then you can come in with more bombers and more bombers and more bombers. Eventually shoot at the thing shooting at you and then shoot at everything else. That's an easy way to kill a bunch of stuff very quickly. Air expansion, of course, here for Team 1. And Team 2 air expansion, as actually heavy air expansion here for Team 2. Look at that. Nuke, though, online. I did point out that there would be a big ticket item. So that would definitely indicate that. Team 2 at total mass income of 1,000 mass. Actually, 1.1k mass. Kind of hovering between those two numbers. Team 1 at 900. So we'll say a healthy 150 maybe in favor of Team 2. Let me know down in the comments who you think is going to currently win this game at 26 minutes. Thank you so much for watching. I really, really, really do appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. And, of course, share this video with anyone, everyone, and most importantly, it's the most important thing, is share this video with your pets, because your pets obviously deserve the best. And what could be better than giving them quality content like this? And there she is, the T3 Neptune class battlecruiser, the only unit of its kind in the game. Of course, there are the T2 destroyers that have laser cannons on board, but that is the only T3 of its kind. Very, very pretty unit, in my opinion. I don't know why it's my favorite for some reason, but it just is. This is a really, really good unit. And this force, of course, is just going to get littered by those cannons. And to point out, that is the range. I think the red is the range of the laser cannon. So very, very good range. And that's where the Barracudas would come in handy here for Team 2. And, of course, combined with the bulwarks, adding thousands upon thousands of temporary, air quotes, hit points on all of the units protected by said bubbles. It just makes those units even more deadlier. Not because they're doing more damage, but because they're surviving longer. The longer they can fire, the more damage they do. Obviously, that's just kind of how math works in that regard. More Salems and more land facilities have been established. Looks like they're only T2, but could easily be upgraded to T3. We do see a couple of T3 units just protecting those forces and other facilities. Is that a missile or is that an artillery piece? It looks like those are artillery pieces inbound, targeting some T1 PD emplacements, which aren't going to get that much mileage, unfortunately, for Team 1. But there are some Salems, which might be able to do the job. But more artillery is being built all the time for Excited. He is just digging in for the long haul. He does not want to deal with anything long-term. He's actually artillery creeping a little bit. You can see tons of artillery. How many does he have online already? 14 of them, and that's the range of all of them. Of course, it doesn't show every individual range. That'd be a little excessive. Nuke, how are you doing? 2/3 about for the way loaded. Does Team 1 have an SMD? Yes, they do, and it will load before the nuke will fire. The only... oh, there is another one over there. That one will load. So the only... just depends on how wide that SMD coverage is. I think the only thing that nuke can really take out that would be vital would be the facilities down here. Take out the headquarters at a minimum. Take out all of the engineering support. Another Neptune coming online. Maybe we'll see a summit here shortly. Are there any T3? Yes, there are. Galaxy class is online. And there's another one soon to be online. So again, one of the only downsides to the Neptune, of course, is the hit point count versus the battleships and the range overall. You have 25,000 versus, in this case, 44,500. So again, that is the two main downsides. Things have quieted down once again, besides just a little bit of missile fire in the naval side of things. Artillery is starting to be very annoying for Team 1 to deal with. They really can't get anywhere near the T2 artillery emplacements. Of course, that's the range on board. The T2 artillery, I think, can easily outrange those. Yeah, they can outrange those, so no real concern there for Exciting. He's going to keep building them and just keep spreading them further and further forward. The counter to that would be just a lot of rapid fire or rapid movement units, which either would be loyalists or, I mean, you can even do T1 spam, T1 lab spam, which might work, but that can easily be countered by Cerberus PD. So again, it's just one of those, Team 1 doesn't have a huge counter, unless they just build a Monkey Lord or Crab and just shove it forward. They could do that. Speaking of experimentals, Team 2 finishes one of theirs. I don't know where it is. It's only Cybran on Team 2, so it's one of 4. You got the Bug, the 2 land units, and the Scathis. So yeah, 4. And it's definitely not the Scathis at this point. It would be crazy if it was, but I highly doubt it. And no real air fights as well between either team. Team 1 and Team 2's air players keeping that very, very far back. We're way ahead, and Eco says Freshy. Oh, yeah. Well, again, 2 bases kind of adds to that. Nuke has now been launched, and yes, it is going for the Navy. I don't know if that naval facility is actually in range of that nuke. We'll have to see. I don't know. I don't know if it actually will kill off the headquarters, which will be very disappointing here for Team 2 if they don't actually kill that off. Again, it's not going to stop the immediate threat of the naval units being 2 Neptunes and a Summit, and they've actually split those forces up quite nicely. RNA anticipated that, and he is building an SMD right here. Unfortunately, not be loaded in time. And here it is, first nuke of the game. Kaboom! Takes out all of the engineering support. And no, it doesn't take out the headquarters. It's barely in the vicinity. Look at that. Just a little bit of a shockwave hits it. That is very disappointing here for Team 2. Just like a couple more inches over in terms of screen width or length or whatever. And that would have been a headquarters kill. That is not great. But again, it does give a little bit of boost to Team 2's momentum, at least in a little bit. All of the other spam facilities are going to be dealt with for a while. There's only one T1, which really kind of focuses just this facility. But they are focusing on the summits right now. They might switch over to more Neptunes, but we'll have to see. Again, 1 summit versus 2 galaxies will favor the galaxies in that mindset. But again, it's just if the Neptunes can get into range, the Neptunes will win that fight quite easily. Not quite easily, but they will win that fight. There is a monkey over here. Here we go. Lots of bricks are inbound. Again, single file, everybody. Single file. I know everybody wants to get down the hill and have some fun. You got to spread out a little bit. Or just single file it, either or. That way you can all just get down the hill without running into one another every 5 seconds. I had a match a couple days ago. Again, same thing. It was going up the hill, Percy's. That was the thumbnail of the video. Just like, guys, just move forward. I can imagine the player being like, just go. I know the pathfinding's annoying. Just go. It just doesn't look like it's really progressing. Team 1 is really bunkered down. And those bulwarks are really what's keeping the fleet alive for RNA. Nobody besides Freshy has died as of yet, which means it's been, what, 20 or so minutes since anybody has died, so it's not doing terrible for either of these players. Again, only having 6 players in the game, technically there's only maximum of 5 kills. I don't think you could win the game and die. I don't know if there's like a, because I know you can draw with somebody and the game is a draw, but I don't know if you could die. You can have a player on the other team die and then a couple seconds later you die, but you still win the game. I don't know how the programming works with the game that way, if there is that little bit of wiggle room essentially. I couldn't tell you. I'm not a programmer by any means. 1, 2 summits. and one battle cruiser. The other one, the Neptune, has been taken out. Those Galaxies are, again, they're targeting those Neptunes specifically. And you can just see the hit points erode. There are a lot of bulwarks still online, but all that T3 firepower will slowly eat away at all of those temporary hit points. It looks like it might be an air fight occurring between these two teams, and Team 2 will probably win that fight. 138 ASFs versus Makula's 80-something, and some of them bingo on fuel. A couple of T2 gunships. Yep, T2 gunships and Renegades going after some T2 mexes for RNA. Again, that's 9 mass a second per mex. Nothing too crazy. T2 torp bombers inbound. Looks like they're going for bulwarks or cruisers. Looks like they're going for bulwarks most likely. Air fight still hasn't occurred yet. And main shields are offline. Oh, some of them pop back offline and online. Again, it's a huge back and forth affair going on. 3 battleships versus still 2 battleships. Team 1 producing another one, and they're producing an Atlantis. So again, another one of those very, very unique units for the UEF. And artillery is online, has now slowly eaten away at the base for Chicken. He's actually started, speaking of which, Scath a couple of minutes ago, he has started a Scathis. Will it finish? I have no idea. I don't think so. 34 minutes on the clock. Artillery is already landing on that base in particular. I highly doubt it, especially with the fact that he's excited specifically. He's probably targeting that SMD. Take that out, launch the nuke, take out the base. That's probably the main target here for Team 2. And that would be the main target, because then you can come in with a nuke and just wipe everything off the map, and it's really, really easy, lemon squeezy. Oh, and having a second nuke. Ooh, that is not great for Team 1. And another artillery. Excited is just burning cash at this point. I wonder how much mass he has in his bar. Oh, he still has about 13,000, so he did have a little bit of a stockpile. So he's legitimately just trying to spam spending mass. And we do see a couple more torp bombers inbound for Team 2. Again, they're going to hit the shielding, not do a lot of damage to anything. That Atlantis is online. Team 2 doesn't have a lot of torp launching units. The Galaxies have torpedoes, as well as the Salems do for sure. I just can't remember if the Galaxies have torp defenses as well. I think they just have torp launchers, I think. There are more battleships coming online, though, for Team 1. It is now 3 versus 4. None of them have died as of yet for either team. Number 5 is inbound. Very, very critical that Atlantis does not emerge from the water, because if it does, that's going to be target number 1. Very, very not a good idea. Oh, the Atlantis might... Oh, not Atlantis. That Galaxy does get defeated by the Summit. And you can see these Summits are still alive. The Neptunes, though, one of them is dead. The other one does have a veterancy, but kind of hurting on the hit point count. Did that artillery take out an air unit? I think it did. I think it took out another air unit. Huh. Oh, maybe it's the spy planes dying to AA. That also could be it. Again, those 2 nukes, dual nukes, and dual artillery. Second artillery is going to be online here shortly. I mean, that combo is pretty deadly. Team 1's efforts in the north have been highly curtailed by the huge amount of brick spam down here. And at this point, you could just send all these bricks in with all torpedoes on board and wipe this facility out. T3 Naval Headquarters is online producing a Plan B sub-nuke. Interesting. Oh, they're producing the sub that can produce a nuke is probably the way I should phrase that. Team 2 does have an SMD. It is loaded, but the artillery could be targeted. At least the T2 ones, and then bring in the Salems. But again, that's a lot of land units to chew through. There is a megalith over here, though, so that is something to worry about. But it's in the middle of the map, so it's going to take a while to really get to anything vital. And the 2 main access point, at least from Team 2's perspective, is this one. There is another one up there, but it's right next door, so it's not a big deal. And then one over here. Then you have to go... That's it. That's the only access points to land on the upper plateau. Unless you get units all the way back here, and then you move them up. But that's probably not going to happen. Artillery has switched targets. The shield grid is down. SMD is still alive. That is unfortunate because that means the SMD could have been taken offline, but looks like the air grid is a more important target for Excited to go after. Pigeons are being taken offline. Transport, nothing huge, but again, looks like they are targeting that SMD right there. Again, take out the SMDs, you take out everything else. Another backup SMD built up here. The shields pop back offline. Love to see it. Keep air over GB ships. I think that's... Oh yeah, keep air over Gib ships, yep. And that's a lot of air forces. Look at this, Excited. Has probably 300. Oh, not as much as I thought. 178. Yeah, definitely not as much as I thought that he had, but it definitely looked like a lot more. Brick Force is being a little bit overwhelmed here by artillery from the Navy and the crab that's inbound. Monkey Lord, of course, is going to help with this. And I don't think that that crab is going to be very happy with its decision to push forward. Another nuke is outbound from Team 2. And it is going for... Did it go for this position up here? No, that's another attack order. It looks like it is going to rectify that mistake and go after the T3 Naval Headquarters right after another summit comes off the line. Lots of spam facilities on the front line here for Team 2 as well. 2 Atlantees, as well as a bunch of summits. And still the Neptune survives. And that nuke is up. And will the SMD catch it, though? It is loaded. Is it going to still be in range? Ooh, no, it's barely. Oh, it still fires. Oh, it catches that nuke just barely. Ooh, that was very, very close. Freshie laughing while he's watching. 3 seconds earlier. Yeah, right. No, I wouldn't say that. I'd say about a couple degrees lower, and it still would have grabbed the headquarters and avoided the SMD. Because let's see the range on board. That is the wrong player with the ASMD that I was talking about. So just barely. Had it dropped right here, it would have been fine, but it just was barely in range. The air grid still looking fine, coincidentally enough. The SMD, again, is the main target. But it looks like a emitter is down. How's Team 1's power going? Not super great for Chicken. Not great for Makula. And good for RNA, so that's good for him. But unfortunately, I mean, the air grid, again, it's a lot of power to lose. Oh, here comes an artillery shot. Ooh. We'll take out some hit points for those P-gens. There are some... Oh, that's that's unfortunate. Rogue artillery shell lands. What is this? There's another Scathis being built up there, so it looks like it's going to hide on the edge of the map. This one's just a fake, I guess. Middle of the map. Brick Force, of course, dealt with that crab. It is now pushed westward and is now moving in down the middle of the map. Team 2 has claimed it for the first time in the game. Team 1 has held it the entirety of the match. I hear explosions. And Team 2's air grid goes down due to Makula teleporting in. But it does not kill off a whole lot, to be fair. It takes out this chunk of an air grid, but the 2 nukes are fine and the 2 artilleries are fine. So in that regard, it's not a success, and now drops this game to an even 2v2. Excited builds another experimental, most likely a crab or monkey. Again, I don't think he's producing a Scathis. At least I don't think he is. I think it's one of those things where I don't want to assume. Yeah, it's just a crab hanging out next to his comm. And the air grid has now been decimated for Makula. Does give a little bit of additional power to Chicken. He's now up 22,000. And that Scathis, of course, has actually been stopped. So it looks like Team 1 maybe double taking on whether or not to actually go for that experimental. Crabs would help this situation here for Team 1, but there's a lot of brick support. I mean, there is still more inbound. A little bit of a choke point, of course, so those units aren't really all shooting at the same time. The Monkey, of course, doing a lot of damage. The Omni going offline, that's not great. I think that's Team 1's only Omni, I believe. It is, of course, centrally placed, so it gave them a lot of intel gathering, but you gotta always have a backup, especially in your main base with cloaking, because cloaking is a pain. Looks like the Man, Team 2's Excited really hates that headquarters, and he's using his artillery to target that headquarters specifically. Takes out a chunk of the build power with a nice little shot there. Team 1's Navy, though, is pushing in. Team 2 will probably lose the Navy down here in the south. There are some T2 bombers inbound from both players from Red Team. Looks like the Atlantes are the main target. There are some TMD on board, a couple of those ships, and they are going to go after, it looks like, yeah, they are going to go after the Atlantis right here. But it's going to be a slow, again, Navy is a slog in a good and a bad sense. A good sense because you can respond to it a little bit better in terms of it's not just quick reflexes sort of thing, but it can get out of hand very quickly where you just do not have enough units. And if it's a 2v1 scenario or even a 3v2 scenario, it can easily get out of hand. There are summits inbound all the time from Team 1's RNA, and this, again, it will have some impact. Maybe it'll take out Gibbs base, but anything beyond that, Excited is perfectly fine. So realistically, Navy will help, but it won't be the thing that wins Team 1 the game. The land, on the other hand, that might be a thing that Team 1 may or may not be able to use. Again, these two crabs, they're here. Team 2 knows about them. So even if the crabs are successful in defeating this force, which they have taken out the monkey, to be fair, and the bricks are being routed northward, it's a long walk to Team 2's side of the map. Looks like the base for Chicken has now been targeted. Ooh, that pigeon goes almost critical. That SMD is still alive somehow. That main shield is the one that's being helped. Oh, not being assisted as much as I thought it would be. And the artillery is not super pinpointed in terms of hitting the same target every time. And that is the downside with artillery, though, is it just is a kind of widespread cannon. Scathis is in the yellow. 41 minutes on the clock. Again, Team 1 could win it with the Scathis. It's going to be close, definitely. You can see the pressure from Team 2 is they're slowly winning the middle. The northeastern corner is still underneath the Chicken's control. It's been under the Chicken's control for a long time. Aircraft carriers being produced. Where is that sub? I know I saw it somewhere. Oh, there's two of them over here. It's not going to be enough to break through. Team 2 would have to lose this SMD. They'd kill off Excited if he doesn't move. There's an SMD right there. The only other SMD. Oh, there's one over there. There are some SMDs dotted around the map. One Atlantis has now officially been taken out after a long while. And there's still more Galaxies being produced. Gib is down there with a torpedo launcher comm. Again, it could be very risky, especially with the Atlantis sitting right there. If he deals with that, he should be fine to move in a little bit. Now we see some Corsairs and some Torp Bombers inbound, and then almost deals with that summit in one pass. The Galaxy should be able to finish it off after a couple of volleys. Couple of Storks inbound to, again, retaliate against Team 2's Torp bombing. Still the base for Chicken is holding strong. The bricks have evaded some of those crabs and have actually now been able to replay what happened earlier in the match with those Wagners, taking out more of those mexes. Team 1, Team 2, how are your ecos doing? 1.9. Team 1 is ahead for now. Again, they are losing mexes as we speak. There are a decent amount of bricks still remaining. There are ASFs to protect those Team 1 bombers, so I'll have to keep making more of them. But I just don't know. It's going to come down to probably one or two moves. Either the nukes from Team 1 are able to land and take out both comms, or at least one of the comms, and a huge chunk of Excited's base. Or the Navy takes out a chunk of Gibbs' base and puts enough pressure where Excited has to focus over here, and then that might help in other areas for Team 1. Or Team 2 just nukes everything else out of Team 1 side of the map. So again, the Navy isn't going to play the biggest role in the game, but I just don't think it's really going to work out here for the Navy. Again, the base is going to be maybe the best thing that they can take out with all of that mass spent in Navy for Team 1. Team 2 is losing it. they're probably not going to be able to keep it. They have some harms being built. They have a Monkey Lord being built, but there's just still so much pressure. But to be fair, one Atlantis remains. There is one Summit, and there is more being produced all the time. So it might be that Team 2 is just stuck here. They can't push in, but they're able to hold, which is better than nothing. Freshy says possibly Novax. It is not a Novax. It's just well, there's one right there, but there are a couple of Pigeons. That's what was cited by that nice little picture. Another artillery piece has been started, and at -1 speed, it is going up decently quickly. A couple more. Of course, nukes have been loaded. This one has 2. This one has 1. So 3 nukes are loaded. As I always say, it would be a shame if they went up in flames and weren't able to actually fire the nukes. SACU's getting in over here to the east here for chicken, just to of course put some eco remotely somewhere else so it's not in the main landmass. And a chunk of mexes were taken out by the bricks, and it has dropped the ecos to 1.7 respectively. More fat. I don't understand the fat boy play. Nuke has launched. The SMDs have finally been taken out. One of them, the main one, has. The other one is still there. It's only loaded with 1 anti-nuke missile though, which means if a second nuke launches at the same location in rapid succession, that will be a destruction of a base for chicken. Again, a chicken's kind of gone to a more spread out eco, either mobile or just all the mexes are spread out. How is the Scathis doing? It is halfway to being completed, so it's going to still take a while, and he has a couple more Pigeons, possibly for an artillery piece. I highly doubt he's going to build an artillery piece after building the Scathis. The only thing is going to be, can the shielding be broken by just the Scathis alone? Because if it can't, then I don't think it's going to work out. 3rd artillery is online, though, for Team 2. 4th one soon to be online. With 4, that is probably going to be enough. And will the artillery reach? No, you can see it's barely out of range. The nukes are going to have to be the thing that Team 2 ends up using to take out that Scathis. Unless the Scathis, for some dumb reason, moves into range, which I highly doubt it will. Looks like the satellite has been taken out. There is an SMD over there. It has 2 anti-nuke missiles loaded. This SMD is almost loaded to another nuke. So if it doesn't fire soon, the ones from Team 2, it will deter another nuke missile. 3 crabs over here. We still have the sub nukes over here. They are still loading. They are pretty close to having 1 each. Says Freshy. Yeah, it's not great. And a couple of them at 2 to 3 star veterancy, so lots of chunky hit points. We see some gunships inbound to the east. Again, more artillery is being built all the time. It's going to be just a slog fest getting land units through for Team 1. There's so much T2 artillery built here. It's going to just be a pain. Another nuke is outbound once again. Tell me you're not going for that other naval facility. You are going for that naval facility. It's a little bit further over to the west than that last one was. SMD, of course, is being hastily loaded, and it looks like Excited's hoping that the artillery takes out the SMD before the nuke reaches its target. But it looks like even the artillery is just focused on the naval facility anyways. The shield is down. The nuke is about to come in range. It's going to be close. Oh, this might be the shot. No, it's just better to the west. How's the other one? And the SMD fires, takes out the nuke. That is what, number 3 that's been fired over there? Oh, that is definitely unfortunate for that that nuke from Excited. Gunships coming in. They have taken a couple of artillery pieces out, but it's not going to do much. Team 2 has met Team 1 on the battlefield up here, just beyond the artillery range, I think. I don't think he probably could have planned that a little. Oh, some artillery is in range, not all of it. If he waited a little bit and had the ground units meet him essentially at the little ramp there, it would have been a lot better. It would have been a kill box, would have been a lot easier to engage. But I don't know. I don't know if it would have. It would have definitely made a difference, I think. I don't know if it would have been the end-all, be-all, though, but it would have been something. Couple of galaxies up here. That's something, but again, range on them for land targets aren't going to be that great in terms of really reaching anything vital. If they sit right here, they can probably hit up to this group of artillery. But that artillery can fire back at them. That's probably what's keeping the battleships back for Chicken. He doesn't want to spend all that mass for battleships and then not be able to use them, which I definitely agree with that. Neptune coming into range of some harms, and that's definitely not a good place to sit that one that's been alive for not as long as the other one has. I guess that other one died. Neptune does take out a Galaxy-class battleship. But there goes that Neptune. How is the Scathis doing? It is in the green. It's getting there. Lots of PD to protect the Scathis from any sort of telemaser threat. Lots of SMDs built here by Team 1 as well, by RNA. Looks like, again, he's protecting not only the air grid, but also the Scathis as well. There are now 4 artillery pieces online, and soon to be 5th one. At this point, he should be moving forward with them, not backward. The last crab is still online. It's just a slogfest at this point. I can't speed it up because it's sitting at -1 to 0, so... Oh, Continental's being taken out by artillery. I don't cringe, but it hurts to watch air units be taken out by stuff that should not be taking out air units. Now, in the use the transports to hover around a target, that's a different story. That's when they should be taken out. That old strategy where you just see transports just essentially not glitching, but just jittering back and forth, trying to cover a Mabor or a Scathis or whatever important target that's being shelled by artillery. Laser is done for Chicken. So this will be the second attempt by Team 1 to go for telemaser. He does have the laser. He does have the teleporter. It's just... the only problem is if he goes for the artillery, he's going to die. Unless he goes for this one over here, which might be fine. But the problem is, if he goes for the comm, I don't think he can get him. He has nano and T3, so he does have a decent chunk of hit points. He has a decent amount of T1 PD, and he has a soothsayer nearby, which he will see him. Again, he's not cloaked. He's just teleported in. That would be way overpowered to have a cloaking teleported commander. That would be... Yeah, that's definitely way overpowered. Especially with the Cybran setup where you can cloak, have a laser, and have a teleporter. Oof. Oof. That'd be rough. And it's just not really going anywhere at this point here for this match.
Strategic launch detected.
And there's another nuke outbound from Team 2. And where is this nuke going? Looks like it's headed... Is it headed for... No, it's headed to the northeastern side. There is not an SMD. A crab was just built, so it will shrug off some of the damage. It will survive, at least, but it's probably not going to have a good day, at least. In the northwestern corner, the Scathis is almost done. 48 minutes, and that Scathis is now completed. That is going to be a game changer for Team 1. If they can crack the shielding, this is the biggest threat right here. The dual nukes and the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 artillery pieces. Soon to be online. Number 5 is almost there. But here comes that nuke. Kaboom! Takes out the T3 Naval Headquarters, takes out a bunch of the support, takes out a couple of SACUs as well. Shots are raining in, and Team 2 is going to be definitely aware of that once those shots start landing. And it almost looks like Team 2 is firing at Scathis with all their yellow dots crossing the side of the map. Yeah, the base here for Chicken is definitely not feeling good. And yeah, there we go. There's that the jiggle, the jittering, the whatever of the Continental trying to protect that SMD. There are still more builds, but there's none loaded. They really should build an SMD back here just in case. RNA is putting his comm back here. Don't know if that's going to be the best idea, because once Team 2 knows about that Scathis, that's going to be the target number 1, or highest priority, or whatever you want to call it. Probably going to be number 1. That's probably the word for it. Ooh, shielding is starting to fail. A lot of the emitters were taken offline with that first attack, leaving an SMD almost the nuke vulnerable, and 2 of the artilleries, the ones that are the furthest forward. And the AA is just not super strong over here. There's a little bit of some sights over there, but another nuke is outbound. It's going to land right here. That's definitely a missed opportunity because none of those are loaded. Yeah, none of those are loaded, which means that nuke could have easily gone to the Scathis and killed it off. There is an SMD back there. Looks like somebody heard me through the ether. And is there another one loaded? There is another one loaded. So if he fires it now, he should be able to take out that Scathis. 2 nukes are inbound from those sub-nukes. There is that SMD. It does have 5 loaded, so that will deal with both of those very easily. Here comes the nuke, though. It might take out an SM. No, I think the SMDs are too far away. Kaboom! Takes out that SMD over there. Another SMD taken offline. So 2 more remain. Sorry, 3 more remain. 2 more remain. One's up there. Yeah, I think that other nuke is definitely going to be shot here shortly. But 2 of the artillery pieces have been taken offline. The nukes are the more important target for the Scathis to take out. And the Navy has kind of just died down. Nothing really crazy happening at this point. It all comes down to how long can that Scathis live? Can it live for 10 more minutes? 5 more minutes? 2 more minutes? 2 more minutes? That's not going to be enough. 10 more minutes might be enough. It just, that nuke is loaded and it just has not been fired. This nuke has also about to be loaded. There's 1 SMD remaining. It is almost loaded, so it may deter 1 missile. This nuke still, this SMD still has a while to go before it's loaded for 1. Scathis falling inbound takes out another artillery piece. 2 remain, so out of the 5, 2 remain. It's just very unfortunate, at least for my point of view for Team 2, that they just haven't launched that nuke yet. Obviously, full vision, all that sort of things. And, of course, as I'm talking about it, that nuke is fired. It's going for the Scathis. Is this SMD taken out? No. It is loaded. That nuke most likely will be shot down. No, it's looking like on a collision course, but there are some bombers inbound, so even if the nuke doesn't make it, there is some targets for Team 1 to try to take out before they reach their intended location. Oh, will it skate the SMD? Yes, it will, so the nuke is going to make it. RNA is going to be taken out. There's no way he can get out of there. Bombers are inbound. Not really going to worry about that because, of course, the nuke will take out everything else. Here comes that kill, and this will end the game, I think, right here. Kaboom! It doesn't actually hit the Scathis. Or it doesn't take it out, I should say. It hit the Scathis. It just needed to be a little bit farther over. That's very interesting. Another nuke outbound. I think Team 2 is going to finish it. I think they're going to finish it with that nuke. They did take out a player, though. It is a 1v2 game. For the first time in the game, Team 2 is in the lead with players left alive. But that Scathis is still alive. It did get a veterancy. And those nukes are being assisted quite heavily. 144,000 mass kill with this one and 64,000 kill with that one. That one has a new, freshly minted nuke. So there was a chicken joke in there at some point. Here comes that nuke, but the Scathis is now moved out of the way. Oh, will it make it out of range? Maybe not. Nope. It doesn't even take everything else out there. Kaboom! And kills off the wreck, of course. Not today. Looks like Chicken is going to teleport out of there and essentially just not really worry about anything else. Because, again, 2 nukes, 2 artilleries. Scathis is down. Mass is just kind of not really there for Team 1. But to be fair, Team 1 is producing 1.4K with all the other mexes. But the main bases are offline. There's an air grid that's there, but the Navy is gone. It's just not... there's not enough left for Team 1 to hold on to really fight back. There's a couple of crabs, but that's a very long-term thing, and bombers are already intercepting them as we speak. I mean, it's not really gonna work for Team 1 at this point. I mean, there might be a universe where it does work, but there have to be a lot of the SMD needs to be taken out. But here comes Team 1's chicken. He just teleports in. He kills off a nuke in the process, but is not able to survive. That is the game here, folks. 53 minutes and 30 seconds on the dot. Team 2 wins the game. Excited. MVP of the game. Of course, he got that secondary base or second base from Freshie, which definitely helped him really scale very quickly. He built the artillery. He built the nukes that kept Team 2 in the game. And eventually it was just enough to break on through. And he had a couple of attacks that really dealt a lot of damage to Team 1's eco. The Wagners, the bricks that came in, the Salems that tried to attempt but just got denied by artillery. So it just was not just the nukes and the artillery, but there were other things that added on to it. But again, that is the game, folks. Thanks so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, like the video and subscribe to the channel, and I will see all of you in the next one.